in HR.
It doesn't matter. That's even worse.
Mr. President, this is
I
your
know, but
FBI.
you know what I've done, and you know this, I've told you this. I'm so involved. Great new Secretary of State.
Right.
I have a fantastic relationship now with North Korea. You know, there were missiles being thought about.
Yeah.
People aren't thinking about it anymore. I said on the Department of Justice, I would stay uninvolved. Now, I may get involved at some point if it gets worse. I say I'm staying uninvolved. I'm letting this report go through. I did nothing wrong. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction.
But, Mr. President,
no
I was on Capitol Hill yesterday, and there are a number of congressional Republicans who are, they're trying to get some documents from your Department of Justice, your FBI.
I tried to stay involved. I may not stay involved, uninvolved, because they have to get the documents. Look, I think everybody
But your
agrees.
FBI is stonewalling.
I think that Rod Rosenstein thinks that you have to get the documents. I really believe that. I saw him yesterday. He gave me a briefing. I think that he believes you have to get the documents.
What did he say regarding the IG report?
Well, he wasn't thrilled about it. I mean, you can't be if you're in there now, but it really was talking about the past. It's not talking about us. It's talking about before us, and it's talking about the election. What they did during the election was a disgrace. It's probably never happened in our country before. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's going to happen when we go further? And there was total bias. I mean, total bias.
From what you've seen so far, should James Comey be locked up?
Well, look, I would never want to get involved in that. Certainly, they just seem like very criminal acts to me. What he did was criminal. What he did was a terrible thing to the people. What he did was so bad in terms of our Constitution, in terms of the well-being of our country. What he did was horrible. Should he be locked up? Let somebody make a determination. Look at all the dishonest things that crooked Hillary did. Look at what's gone on. It's very sad.
Sounds like he was using a private email, too.
He had a private email. That was, of all the things, that wasn't, to me, maybe the most interesting, but it was probably the funniest.
Because she got in big trouble for her private email.
Yeah.
Oh, James Comey's using one,
That
too.
was a little bit of a surprise, I have to say.
Yeah. From what we've seen, though, regarding the IG report, it sounds like Comey made some bad judgments, but nothing criminal.
Well, if you look at what happened, and don't forget all of these people like Strzok, what he did was criminal. Strzok and so many others. McCabe is now up.
You mean the bias, the animus?
Well, they all worked for Comey, and Comey knew everything that was going on. You think McCabe didn't tell him everything? McCabe told him everything, and McCabe is up for criminal right now.
And now he's suing the Department of Justice.
And he's now suing, and it's a total mess. They're all going against each other. No, I think Comey was the ringleader of this whole, den of thieves. It was a den of thieves.
Are you confident that either through the congressional investigators or the IG report or new management at the FBI, things are going to work out, things are cleaning up, and we'll get to the bottom of all that
I do
stuff?
believe so. I think it's happening. It's happening slowly, but it's happening. I think Christopher Wray is very different from Comey, which is what you need. You need different. You need like the opposite. And he's moving step by step. And you're going to see a whole new, very proud FBI. I think that the Justice Department will end up being great. It's all going to happen. It's all going to work out. But I tried to stay as much uninvolved as I can.
You were very involved in going to Singapore, negotiating with Kim Jong-un. When you finally met him and sat across the table from him, we've heard a lot of bad things about little Rocket Man, and suddenly you guys seem to be best friends.
We got along very well. We had a good chemistry. I don't know if that's supposed to be popular or politically correct to say, but we really did. We had good chemistry. You haven't had any rockets shot up in the air for 7 months. You haven't had any research. They just blew up their test site. They're blowing up their engine test site for ballistic missiles. He's giving us back our great heroes who died, as you know. We're getting the remains back, and I've had so many people, so many parents, so many fathers and daughters and sons asking me, please, please. This is during the campaign and after. I say, I don't have exactly a good relationship. Anyway, during the meeting, and we really did hit it off during the good chemistry. You
have since used some very friendly words regarding him, and you've taken some heat for that.
That's what it is. I take heat, but what am I supposed to do? Walk out and say terrible? I mean, I got along with him very well. We have good chemistry. I asked him, the remains, I'd like to get them. He said, yes, we will do that. They are already starting to produce the remains of these great young soldiers who were left in North Korea. We're getting the remains, and nobody thought that was possible.
The way you have described things, it sounds like you feel that he's on the road to denuclearing.
Oh, absolutely. So it's in the agreement. It says he will denuclearize.
Right.
You know, it's funny when
that's
you see
kind of broad.
when it's funny when you see the fake news, because, and you guys aren't fake, but I signed an agreement where we get everything. But they say Trump lost because he agreed to meet. Trump agreed
Got the
to
picture.
meet. No, it's a funny thing. You got to watch your CNN. I mean, what a fraud it is. They go.
They're listening.
Trump,
They're right behind you.
That's fine. Trump, do you hear me? Trump agreed to meet. I say, I agreed to meet. Of course, you got to agree to meet. If you don't agree to meet, you know what you're going to have? You're going to have nuclear war. That's what you're going to have. I have a great relationship. He gave us back our hostages. I didn't pay $1.8 billion. Paid nothing. But it was very smart that he did it. He gave us back our hostages. He's giving us back the remains of probably 7,500 soldiers. Yeah, there's a tremendous number of soldiers, a tremendous number of MIAs, and just folks that they've never been found.
It sounds
and they, by the way, they know where many of these bodies are.
What is the stage of the meetings now? I know you've sent
Mike Pompeo's just leaving there. He was in South Korea.
Any developments?
We're getting along great with South Korea. We're getting along great with China, probably until this morning, because we just did a big tariff on China. But that's okay, because I have a wonderful relationship with President Xi. We'll all work it out. He understands it's unfair.
Right.
They can't believe they got away with it for so long, Steve. Okay? They can't believe it. I mean, they got away with it for 25 years. I'm not just blaming Obama. I'm blaming many presidents and leaders.
At what point
it should have never happened.
At what point do the sanctions come off of North Korea?
When we can be sure there will be no more nuclear.
How close are we to that?
Very close. We're very close to getting it started. He wants to do it. He wants to do something great with his country. He wants to make his country great.
So you are saying that you'll relieve the sanctions once whatever he's going to do, he's completely, that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Once we know that it can't happen, and I'm telling you right now, with the relationship I have, it's not going to happen. Hey, you haven't had a rocket test in 7 months. I was with Prime Minister Abe, another good friend of mine from Japan. I said, when's the last time you had a rocket flying over Japan? He said, it has not happened. I said, it won't happen. Don't worry about it.
Are we close to seeing Mr. Kim here at the White House?
Could happen. I mean,
they talked about that yesterday.
I would have him. Yeah, I think it's something that could happen. Yeah. Hey, he's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different. He speaks, and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
Well, just before you met with him, he cleaned house. 3 of his top generals, some of the hardliners, he fired. Then you go over there, and you took some heat over saluting one of the generals.
I think he fired at least. Okay, when you say he
3
fired,
that we know of.
I think maybe fired at least. Fired may be a nice word. That's right. I met a general. He saluted me. I saluted him back, and I guess they're using that as another soundbite. I mean, I think I'm being respectful to the general. We have a very good relationship with North Korea. When I was talking to President Obama, he essentially was ready to go to war with North Korea. He felt you had to almost go to war. And I did ask him, have you spoken to him? He goes, no. I said, do you think it would be a good thing to speak to him, maybe? Okay? Because, if you go to war there, you're not talking about 100,000 lives, which is a lot. You're talking about 30, 40, 50 million lives. Seoul is 30 miles off the border. They don't even need nuclear weapons to take out Seoul. And they have thousands of cannons. They call them cannons. They have the big guns. Thousands pointed right at Seoul. We have a really great relationship for the first time ever. No president's ever had this. So I get hit by these fakes back here. Not all of them, some are phenomenal, but I get hit because I went there. I gave him credibility. I think it's great to give him credibility. Here's what we got. Everything. Point after point after point.
One point, I think it was in the last week, 10 days. Things are going fast here in Washington, just saying. But
you're having a lot of fun, right?
We're having.
So supposing Hillary got elected instead of Trump, do you think it would be so exciting? Your ratings would be way down. #1 show in the morning, folks.
Well, thank you. I've heard you say the others in cable news. That's right. It was within the last week.
Actually, also beyond cable news, you're doing pretty well.
We're doing okay.
That's okay.
Thanks for dropping by.
I like ratings.
All the other
I study ratings.
Broadcasting. You had mentioned the NFL players and some taking a knee, and you would like to hear some of the stories of people who you should pardon. And you mentioned professional athletes. Have you heard from any of them?
No, I haven't heard. You know, they were all saying, oh, it has nothing to do with the flag. It's the way we've been treated. In the meantime, they're making $15 million a year. Look, I'm all for the athletes. I think it's great. I love athletics. I love sports. But they shouldn't get the politics involved.